from Bleacher Report. He put out an article that one prospect every team should avoid. And strangely, it's one thing to say linebacker, Chad, but to suggest the Broncos avoid Jacob Rodriguez, who's one of, if not the best linebacker in the draft. I thought it was completely crazy. And my premise about the article I wrote for the website was, here's why they shouldn't listen to Alex Ballantyne. And if they have enough conviction, they should run that draft card to the podium. Reportedly, Chad, they want a young understudy behind Alex Singleton to learn and grow. And who better than J-Rod?
He's not going to be there at 62 anyway, but I mean, a couple of football priests can dream, we can hope. We got to remember too, Zach, last week when the Broncos held their pre-draft presser, George Paton kind of put an emphasis on a couple things. One, the whole 6 players we like thing at 62. We're not ruling out a trade, probably not first round, but we could move up in round 2. And then he really honed in on a specific stretch of picks that the Broncos feel really good about, 45 to 75. And so by him literally specifying as high as 45, Rodriguez, Zach, is one of those prospects that if he's there at 45, maybe the Broncos trade something from next year. Maybe they trade, a couple of those 4th round picks, a 4th and a 7th, whatever it might take within reason to move up. But I don't expect that to happen. I'm just saying, makes you wonder.
He's one of the few players, and anyone can feel free to disagree. It's completely subjective. He's one of the few players I wouldn't mind the Broncos moving up for in the 2nd round. Not a blockbuster trade by any means, but if it's a few spots, 5 spots or so, a handful, he's an excellent linebacker that would slide right into VJ's defense, Chad, and contribute from day one.
No doubt. No doubt. We got lots more that we're going to talk about, including this super chat from Shannon Mills.
Thank you, Shannon.
A dear member, a Mount Rushmore superstar checking in. She says, good evening, Chad, Zach, Scott, and Broncos country. Not sure about anyone else, but I'm kind of over the Joker thing. Can't they just focus on a good offense, stop being cute, and just get some great players? There are tight ends they can take later. So and by the way, Shannon, much love and respect. Thank you so much for your support. You have no idea how helpful it is. Keeps the wheel rolling. Trust on that here at MHH. But Zach, I think what she's talking about is the article today from Albert Breer of Sports Illustrated National, who shared a little bit of scuttlebutt relative to some of the conversations he's had with NFL personnel behind the scenes, one of whom, and especially connecting Vanderbilt tight end Eli Stowers to the Broncos. This is what Breer wrote today, quote, "The bad news is Denver has just 1 pick in the top 100, and it's pretty far down there. The good news is the roster is well stocked, so they'd be picking a year ahead of needs in most cases. With that in mind, a couple of GMs gave Vanderbilt's Eli Stowers an incredible fit for Sean Payton. One exec said to me plainly, quote, that's a Sean Payton joker all day. Close quote. The problem, he concludes, is they may have to move up from 62 to get him. It'd be fun to see them try to do that, close quote, on Albert Breer. So she's saying, I'm over the joker thing. Like, are we really going to try and trade up for Eli Stowers when this class, Zach, has some pretty good depth at the position?
Well, Shannon, thank you first and foremost. I'm over the Broncos having one of the worst tight end rooms in the NFL, all things considered. Well, first string, second string, third string. They need to improve the ceiling and the floor of that room. So I 100% agree with your premise. It's just what tight end is going to fall to you that you think is worthy of being an upgrade. There's two, Sadiq and Stowers, and Chad has a few players he likes, like Delp. I agree with him, but like no doubt surefire players that can step in and take Ingram's starting role, there aren't too many. That's why some of us advocate, Chad, for David Njoku to come aboard after the draft, and you can focus your draft picks elsewhere. But regardless, Shannon, thank you so much.
By the way, Mr. Producer says, Shannon, I'm just over the phrase joker, like it's some sort of secret weapon available only to Sean Payton. It's simply a pass-catching tight end or running back. That's really all it is. And the good news is the Broncos had a joker emerge last year at running back by the name of R.J. Harvey. And even though, Zach, much was made, there was much fanfare and aplomb, including by the man himself, when Evan Ingram was signed that he's the new Joker and here we go. It didn't quite shake out that way. He finished his first season in Denver with only 1 touchdown, although he did finish 3rd on the team in receiving, so there is that. But I just don't see the need to move around the board for a tight end in this draft. Now, if a guy like Kenyon Sadiq was fallen and found himself for some inexplicable reason, Zach's still on the board halfway through round 2, maybe. But even then, the same rationale would hold true to me. Like, don't trade up, because I have my heart set on a few different guys at different points in the draft that I would really like, but trading up, man, I just don't see it. And, Stowers, if he were the pick, Zach, at 62, if he's there, fine. I think that pick could be better served going elsewhere. But again, nothing's changed from the last few things I've said on this subject, Zach, since I think I started talking this way on Thursday, which is simply that I just have a feeling it's going to be someone no one's really talking about at 62, or their first pick in the draft, whether they end up staying at 62 or move. That first pick's going to be someone that we're all kind of like, we know the name. Don't get me wrong. It won't be a complete mystery, but it'll be kind of be like, really? Interesting. Must have a vision. And when that happens, we'll believe that they do, because so far, Sean Payton, George Payton, they've proven that they do have a vision for making these picks.
It's kind of crazy that the Broncos were more predictable in the first round, Chad, when they had the 30th overall pick compared to the second round, because of all the different ways they can go, and they satisfy their biggest need with Jalen Waddle, and now it's just supplementing the rest of the roster. I wouldn't trade up for a tight end, but I'm not going to look a gift horse in the mouth either. If Eli Stowers does fall to me and I feel like I can make him a Jimmy Graham light, I'm going to think long and hard about taking him.
I wouldn't hate it. I would just question it. That's all. I would question it. And it would depend on who else was there, right? Like when they made the pick. But Shannon, once again, thank you, my friend. Much love and respect. We got Papa Bear checking in also early with a generous super chat every single night. The Papa Bear's here contributing to the combo, throwing down a super to help keep the lights on. And he's saying, good evening, Broncos country. Hashtag God bless the USA. Hashtag God bless Bo Nix. And by the way, the draft, of course, Thursday. That's round 1. Day 2 is going to be Friday. Day 3 of the draft is Saturday. We'll be back on Saturday night, probably Sunday night for sure. But then Monday, we're kicking off the new season, we'll call it, since we are at this point in the offseason, of the Superstar segments with this man right here, Papa Bear. David McElrath's going to join us Monday night after the draft for a Superstar segment. Won't be his first appearance on the Mile High Huddle podcast. Won't be his last. But Papa Bear, we look forward to it, big dog.
Yep. Thank you.
All right, guys. We got the Duchess also checking in from the top row.
Thank you, Michaela. Wow. Thank you, Michaela.
And by the way, while I'm thinking of this goes to Michaela, this goes to Shannon and any of the Superstar community and members, by the way. All right. If you are interested in participating in a Superstar segment, shoot me. Don't drop it in the chat. Don't mention it here. Shoot us an email, milehighhuddle@gmail.com, and let us know, and we'll see how we can work it in. We're going to do one a week, ideally, between now and let's say, we'll see how long it goes, but between now and maybe training camp. Might not be every single week, but that's the window before things get busy again. All right. To Michaela, who jumps in from the top row. If a team calls the Broncos, Zach, and says, we're going to give you a second-round pick for Jaquan McMillian, do you listen to the offer in order to get, say, Eli Stowers? Player impact, Zach, versus draft capital. What's your answer here for the Duchess?
Yeah, player impact. First of all, Michaela, thank you so much. But player impact on a current Broncos team, a tight end who doesn't get the ball all that much, or the best slot corner in the NFL that can lock down the best slot receivers in the NFL. It's hard to turn down a second for McMillian. It's high prize capital, but I would rather have a player like that on my team than a mystery. It could be anything, Chad. The second round pick could be anything. And in that case, if you're taking away one of your strengths, you'd probably be looking to draft McMillian's replacement. It's just you're working back to take a step forward.
And in that vein, think about this. If the Broncos were to draft another corner at any point, including in the second round, they would be lucky. They should count themselves lucky if they were to somehow land a corner that could be even half as productive as Jaquan McMillian. Like, this is just not something I can co-sign. I understand how sexy the idea of getting another second round pick is, and you have a ready-made replacement to step in Jahdae Barron. If this was about Riley Moss, and obviously he's not going to get a second round pick, but I don't think McMillian is either, by the way. If McMillian was going to get a second rounder, that would have happened during the RFA process, right? Like teams could assign him to an offer sheet, given the Broncos first right of refusal. They say, nah, go ahead and take him. Give us a second round pick. But it's still circulating out there, Zach, as a possibility. I understand it, but I'm telling you right now, you do not, as a defense, Zach, that is, I understand you want to get Barron on the field, cost control window. He's got 3-4 years left. But for a defense that lacks in the ability to take the ball away, you don't want to get rid of your best ball hawk. Like literally your best ball hawk on the team gone. Man, shudder to think.
I don't know, as good as Barron could be in the future, and I think he could be a very good corner. Nothing he showed me so far, Chad, that made me say, you know what, you can get rid of Jaquan and Barron can step in. I have no worries at all. I'm just not there yet. I would rather have Jaquan on my team than up in the air second round pick. So that answers that, Michaela. For my opinion, I think McMillian is more important from a player impact standpoint than having another tight end.
But you always listen. I would definitely always listen for what it's worth, Michaela. So great question, great topic, great super chat. Thank you, my friend, for your support. You know we love you. All right, guys, we got much more that we're going to be getting to. But first thing is first, guys, the NBA playoffs are finally here, and Underdog is the best place to get in on all the action. The Denver Nuggets, guys, you might not all of you be Nuggets fans, but they are in the dance, and it's looking good so far. They're playing again tonight. If you're not on Underdog yet, well, you're in luck because new customers score $50 in bonus entries when you play your first $5.
Exactly. Playing on Underdog is easy. Just pick whether players will go higher or lower on stats like points and rebounds. Get your picks right, and you can win up to 5,000 times your cash. Plus, there are new promos dropping daily in the app.
Underdog, guys, it's so much fun, and the opportunity to win a little bit of money while you're watching some of your favorite sports and your favorite teams, it's a slam dunk. So download the Underdog app today. That's the first step. Then sign up with the promo code MHuddle to score $50 in bonus entries when you play your first $5. Again, that's promo code MHuddle. Millions of fans have already won billions making picks on Underdog. Will you be next?
Be 18 plus, 19 plus in Alabama and Nebraska, 19 plus in Colorado for some games, 21 plus in Arizona, Massachusetts, and Virginia, and present in a state where Underdog Fantasy operates. Terms apply. See assets.underdogfantasy.com/web/play and get terms _DFS_.html for details. Offer not valid in Maryland, Michigan, New Jersey, Ohio, and Pennsylvania. Concerned with your play? Call 1-800-GAMBLER or visit ncpgambling.org. In New York, call the 24/7 HOPE line at 1-877-8-HOPE-NY or text HOPE-NY 467-369.
All right, guys, we got a brace girdle in the house. You might look at his profile pic and think to yourself, wait a minute, is that a young Burt Reynolds in his prime? But you'd be wrong. It's actually Gene William in the house. What's up, dude? He says, my boys, what's up? Great to see y'all as always. I don't have any idea what's going on in the football world. So what's the big scoop? Well, Gene, the big scoop is we're 3 days away from the draft. That's the big scoop. There's no breaking news. I mean, the only thing today that really qualified as news is that Broncos rush linebacker Dondrea Tillman signed his ERFA tender. So that's it. As far as rumors, you heard one of them just a moment ago from Michaela. There's this, I don't know, I guess you'd call it a rumor, but it's more speculation of just how available Jaquan McMillian is on the trade market in this draft. And then also little scuttlebutt, like you heard us talk about, Eli Stowers, the Vanderbilt tight end, being connected to the Broncos. Outlets out there saying the Broncos should avoid specific prospects like the highly touted Texas Tech linebacker Jacob Rodriguez. Other than that, Gene, it's just more getting ready for the draft. Like today, Eric Trickle, by the way, Zach, dropped his final 7-round mock draft, and we call it a 7-round because it just signifies the complete mock, all the picks. And as much as it probably pained him, he did not do any trades in the mock. It's just a straight full Broncos mock draft. And can you guess? I don't know, Zach, you might have already read it, but can you guess who Eric Trickle took with not the first round, but the first Broncos pick, 62 overall?
I can, because I cited him in my article. That would be Jacob Rodriguez, the very player that Bleacher Report told the Broncos not to draft. I'm with Eric Trickle on this one. I would love it, and I love Trickle's reasoning for it.
But Gene, brother, it's good to see you, and keep it with us, and you'll always be on top of all things Broncos. And this week, it's going to be busy with the draft. Tomorrow night is going to be the Mile High Huddle War Room, which is the roundtable mock draft with all the hosts. Thursday night, first round. Day 2 is Friday. Day 3 is Saturday, but it doesn't end there, because the Broncos are about to bring in upwards of 7 new draft picks plus a college free agent class. And you guys are going to want to know who each and every one of these guys are, because you're sick maniacs just like us. And that whole process of uncovering and learning about these guys is going to unfold, Zach, over the next several weeks after the draft. So we're just getting started on all that.
Yeah, and thankfully we're 72 hours away from ending at least this portion, Chad, of the off-season mirage. Thankfully.
Good to see you, Gene. Give a shout out to your old man and the fellas. Chris Bell here, celebrating is the word I'm looking for. I'm not having a stroke, I promise you. Membership on Mile High Huddle YouTube for 7 months. Thank you, brother. He's saying, evening, Chad, Zach, and Deacon Scott. I'm really ready for this draft. Happy 7 months. Well, dude, 7 months, it's a long time. Thank you for being with us all this time, Chris, and all your support over that span. Obviously, it's not always just the memberships. You've been generous on Super Chat. So, brother, thank you.
Yeah, thank you, Chris, so much.
We also got Elias going to getting his soapbox, and I'm right there with you, dude, saying Tom Nalen for the Hall of Fame. Dude, it's so ridiculous. It's so ridiculous that Tom Nalen is not in the Hall of Fame. Thomas Hall, formerly of MHH for many years. I mean, Tom was with us almost for a decade, but he did a good job over the years advocating for Nalen and explaining with his historical knowledge of the Hall of Fame and Broncos canon just how egregious it is that he's not in the Hall. But now that, Zach, you got Randy Gradishar finally enshrined, Nalen is the one that jumps out as the most ongoing, outstanding, egregious snub. He's number one. But guys, at the same time, there are other Broncos that are deserving as well, like Rod Smith. Guys, we got to get Rod Smith eventually in the frickin' Hall of Fame. He's the all-time leading receiver for one of the best teams in NFL history, over 11,000 yards, undrafted. I mean, what a story. Two-time world champion. He's not in the Hall of Fame. If he was a Cowboy, if he was a Niner, if he was a Steeler, right, he'd be in the Hall of Fame. And then one last name, just there's others, but Carl Mecklenburg. But Zach, Tom Nalen, he deserves to be in the Hall.
Yeah, I think you did a good job laying that out. I appreciate the super, Elias.
Now, I'm going to see real quick if I can find this Thomas Hall. I'll see if I can find it when I'm not on the spot, because it's some good stuff. It's some good stuff. But Elias, dude, good to see you, pal. Some other shouts to the folks in the chat, other members like Pearl, like the Ronks in the house. We got Austin Dorf. Todd says Stowers had a 45.5-inch vertical leap, 4.5 speed, and a 1.59 second 10-yard split. He's explosive. There's no doubt about it. He is freakazoid caliber explosive at tight end. I don't know. There's just something about him. It's the lack of physicality, I think, that rubs me the wrong way. He could be trained. He could be honed. But like you look at Claire, for example, Zach, Ohio State, Max Claire, he also is not already a proficient blocker. He's more of a move tight end. He's more of a pass catcher, can run the route tree, reliable hands, sneaky athleticism. But when he's asked to block and get physical, no problem. He'll at least give you what he's got. Gives you a ball of clay that you can work with in the NFL. On that side of things, I'm not sure Stowers has that in him. So, look, there's a reason people are saying he could be asked to move to wide receiver at the next level.
It's also a case, at least in my opinion, so many players like won the underwear Olympics over the course of the pre-draft process. They look good and they posted those numbers and they look tantalizing until they actually got on the field, and it's tough to translate to the NFL level in some cases. and especially for a tight end. I bring that up a lot, Chad. All the failed tight ends in Broncos history that they drafted that never took off. I'm not saying Stowers is going to join that list, but there's definitely more of a risk factor taking that position.
Yeah. So thank you, Shiloh. He says, I haven't heard Stowers compared to Julius Thomas at all. Who is making that comparison? I'd be curious to read it. Well, there are similarities in that Julius had himself quite the aversion to blocking and physicality as well. There is that. Some other news. This is true. We haven't covered it yet at MHH, Zach. One of us will probably write this up after the podcast. But Zach Stevens, I want to say, of DNVR, per sources he is citing close to the team, Drew Sanders, Zach, changing positions. So while Jonah Ellis is moving from outside to inside linebacker, Drew Sanders is going from inside to outside, Zach, according to Stevens. What do you make of that?
I don't care. Honestly, I'm this close to calling Drew Sanders a bust, and I think right now, Chad, they're just trying to squeeze whatever value they can get out of him. They don't need another inside linebacker, and maybe this is a sign that they're looking to draft an inside guy. But if you brought back Singleton and Sternad and you're moving Jonah Ellis to inside, you don't need Sanders there. So I think they're just trying one last-ditch effort to make something of Sanders before inevitably moving on. I'm not making much of it, William, although I hope to be surprised.
Here we go again is the first thing that comes to my mind. It's like, man, this kid can't catch a break. I mean, whether it's battling the injury bug, Zach, or being asked to constantly change the position he plays, like when he finally washes out of Denver, is anyone going to be surprised that it didn't work out with Drew Sanders? And it won't be all his fault. Sure. Chris Bell, here he is with a super chat as well. Brother, thank you. He says, I try my best to join the live shows. Work long days, tired a lot, but always listening though. Hey, dude, however it works out that you work MHH into your life, we appreciate it, big dog. And when we can catch you live, that's always a joy as well. But, dude, we just appreciate you being there no matter what. A lot of people, I mean, right now, this low point of the off season, when we hit end stream in about 40 minutes, give or take, there'll be something like 300 or 400 views already on the live stream on YouTube, but it'll end up in the couple 3,000s, whatever, within about a week. Most of the listens obviously are coming after the fact. So however you're listening, Chris, whether you're live or not, just know it counts. It adds up. We appreciate you.
Yeah. Thank you, Chris. Appreciate that.
And the super chat, big dog, you the man. But yeah, dude, Zach, I just don't understand what they're thinking. Now, there is this, like the whole reason, I want to stay on this Drew Sanders thing for a second. The whole reason that he was originally moved, Zach, from inside linebacker to outside linebacker his second year, so 2024, was the fact that he had that experience in college. And even when he transferred to Arkansas and played inside linebacker for the Razorbacks his final year in college, Zach, he delivered 9.5 sacks as an off the ball guy. Sorry, Scott, not trying to trigger you, but still, so he's got some chops. He is a freakish athlete, Zach. I could see it working out. It's just that, man, aren't you just trying to switch streams again a little too late in the game? Like, are you really trying to get the most out of this third-round pick? And then the other thing here, Zach, is you genuinely have a need of inside linebacker depth. That has been the majority of his specialization as a pro. I don't get it.
Well, the other option to consider here is the Broncos are genuinely convinced and have full faith in Singleton, Sternad, and Jonah Ellis at inside linebacker, and that's the nuclear option. If they leave that alone, they don't take one in the second round or maybe the fourth round, and they just run it back with them and a convert in Ellis. It kind of, though, the Sanders thing reminds me of Baron Browning a little bit. They tried him here, they tried him there. Inevitably, what they do, Chad, they traded him. They got rid of him. I think that's going to be in Drew Sanders' future. Maybe not a trade, but an outright release.
Thank you, Gene. We appreciate the stars, bro. Yeah, it means a lot, big dog. Thank you. We also got Tucson Phil checking in, saying, good evening, Chad, Zach, and Deacon Scott. Celebrating 193 consecutive weeks watching MHH. I need to get a life, LOL. Can we count on our new outside linebacker staying healthy. Dude, that is crazy, Zach. Not crazy in a bad way. We're talking about the better part of 4 years having not missed watching MHH in a given week, right? So like, Phil, dude, all that tells us is that you're a sick maniac just like us. You are exactly where you belong, big dog. Zach, what's your answer for him? Can we count on our new outside linebacker staying healthy, Drew Sanders?
I don't know. I mean, can you count on J.K. Dobbins staying healthy or any other injury-prone player? That's the bugaboo. That's the million-dollar question with players like this. Is they're pretty talented when they're on the field. Although J.K. Dobbins way more so than Drew Sanders. I feel like he's made one play in 3 years, Chad, and that was the play against the Chargers. If he stays healthy, he can help contribute. But is he going to get on the field? I mean, he'd be the fourth at best outside linebacker after Dondre Tillman, assuming Jonah Ellis goes to inside full-time. I don't know. I just don't see the maximal marginal impact on value that the Broncos are going to get from him. I hope I'm proven wrong. I just think at the end of the day, at the end of the summer, whatever, Sanders is going to be on the scrap heap.
We definitely hope we're wrong on this. We hope he succeeds just for his sake, but let alone the Broncos who invested a third-round pick, right? So Michaela jumping in again because she is, in fact, a living legend. She says, who do you like in the draft? Pardon me, at inside linebacker after Rodriguez, since there's really no chance of him falling to us. All right, Zach, let's bring up the consensus big board and do some scratch and sniff, okay? For Michaela, because we love her, we appreciate her, and we want to dive deep on this subject, and it's worthy of deep diving here. All right, so let's go to the consensus big board and switch over here. Oh, go away. Go away. You got to make your buck. Okay. But besides Rodriguez, CJ Allen, but like him, Zach, odds are not going to be there. All these names right here are good. Anthony Hill Jr. of Texas. Jake Golday is a very unique, special name to watch because he could be there at 62, likely will be there at 62. And he's kind of more of a coverage linebacker. Josiah Trotta from Mizzou. Not my favorite of this little brace of linebackers. Say from Allen to Trotter, he'd be my least favorite. But he's still very good at what he does. He would be an upgrade, a clear upgrade over anything the Broncos have behind Sternad and Singleton. Kyle Lewis, guys, if you want to learn a little bit more about this kid, like 2 hours ago, Eric Trickle published another Finding Broncos story where he's in the, he's the first linebacker. He breaks down 2 linebackers that could be high ceiling future starters for the Broncos, Kyle Lewis being one of them. The problem with Kyle Lewis, though, and why he's going to go in the 3rd round or maybe even early 4th instead of day 2 is his size, and he's already kind of maxed out his frame. So basically he's like a safety playing linebacker, but he's damn good at what he does, and especially in coverage. Trickle has him rated, Zach, as the #1 coverage linebacker in this draft. And then beyond these guys, you get into some other semi-interesting guys like Betcher from Oregon, Zach, and Jimmy Rolder from Michigan. Rolder's the other guy Trickle featured in Finding Broncos today alongside Lewis. So a few names that I like, Zach. I don't know about you.
Rolder was among the there's a handful of linebackers that met with the Broncos in the pre-draft process, Rolder being one of them. But if you scroll back up, Chad, in my opinion, that's how the linebacker shakes out for the Broncos in terms of best to worst there. And realistically, I guess Rodriguez, Hill, Golday, Trotter, in that order. That's how I feel. I wouldn't mind Trotter, but he's definitely a plan D. If they can get a J-Rod, if they can get even an Anthony Hill, if they have to move up for him, if they have enough conviction, I would really, really like that a lot.
What I could even see is, let's say they go elsewhere in round 2. Let's say they drafted, Caleb Banks, it's a miracle. And Caleb Banks is there at 62. But Kyle Lewis, you get to the 3rd round, Zach, and you're in the late 80s, early 90s, and Kyle Lewis is still on the board. I could see the Broncos using those 2 4th-round picks to move up and get him. He would be a phenomenal player in Denver. However, one thing, and this has to be mentioned, Trickle breaks it down in his article on this subject. The Broncos, it's not that he wouldn't be a fit. It's that the Broncos traditionally have not shown much of a openness or propensity for bringing in guys who lack the size and trying to make it work at linebacker. And again, he's a football player. You could even maybe move him to safety, Zach, if he didn't work out because he's so good in coverage. But Kyle Lewis is an interesting guy, I'm telling you.
Yeah, and it's the same thing we've been saying for months now. They don't have to go linebacker in round 2. I mean, they don't have to specifically avoid Rodriguez like Bleacher Report wants, but they don't have to go linebacker. They don't have to go running back. They don't have to go anywhere. They're going to follow their board. And as Chad's been saying all along, it's probably going to be a person that we know of, but we really weren't expecting there.
Yeah. So really good question. We got Ronnie Ray jumping in saying on Super Chat, thank you, Ronnie.
Thank you, Ronnie.
Says, I feel bad for Sanders. Seems like he never got a real shot. And now it seems like this is a last chance for him, and I hope it works out. We all hope it works out. Let's make sure we don't get that twisted amongst our skepticism. We want it to work. It's just, the best predictor of future outcomes are past outcomes, and hasn't been great for Sanders moving him around so far.
Yeah, I mean, you can kind of, if you've watched the Broncos or watched the NFL long enough, not even long enough, just like a few years or so, and kind of got the read on things, you can just get that vibe with Drew Sanders. Like it's really going to never work out. I brought up Baron Browning before, and he had more athleticism and upside as an edge rusher than Drew Sanders, and even the Broncos traded him. I don't see it in the cards in Denver for Drew, unfortunately. I feel like I've said that before a few times, Shed.
Yeah, no doubt. I mean, I'm hoping it works out, but we'll have to wait and see. But he does have the talent, guys, and he's got the college production. This is why the Broncos believe it can happen. This is why they're moving him over there, is he does have the traits. He's a freakish athlete. I mean, listen to Marvin Mims one time talk about Drew Sanders, and you'll start getting re-excited. Like if you go back to when Mims was first drafted, I think, Zach, it was rookie minicamp 2023. And they started talking to Mims and, hey, how about your fellow draft classmate, Drew Sanders? And he went and just glazed him because of their head-to-heads and what they experienced going against each other as high school, as preps in Texas, and just what a legend Drew Sanders is still. So anyway, I want it to work. I'm just not convinced that it will. We shall see. Ronnie, that's a double. Okay, got you. Brother, thank you so much for your support, big dog. We also have here Unique Prep and checking in, celebrating being a member for 6 months. Smouse is officially in the house. Thank you, brother. Good to see you. And thank you for being you, referencing the old MHH UN and his OG status in the community. No doubt. Great to see you, Zachary. We also have the Lady D jumping in, Deanna Hendry.
Thank you, Deanna.
From the top rope, just like that. Love you so much. Great to see you tonight. Hope the fam's doing well. She says, hi, Chad and Zach. I'm kind of meh with Eli Stowers. He's better than nothing, though. Curious to see who we really end up drafting. I'm just excited to get this season going. Hashtag MHH for life. Yeah, I don't know. I'm not trying to bum anybody out. It's not that I don't like Stowers. I just have some questions. I mean, I guess you could say that about any of these guys, right? None of them are perfect prospects, but I don't know. Considering the depth of the class, I guess, Zach, is where my reluctance kind of comes from.
Oh, no, absolutely. Yeah, I think I'm a little more open to the idea of taking Stowers, and even I could see the other viewpoint of maybe there's other players that would be more pragmatic to take here, smarter picks. It may not be a sexy pick like Stowers, but it might be better for the Broncos. But Deanna, your point there is your last sentence there is what I'm feeling. I am so excited and ready to just get the draft going, get the season started, and see where the Broncos shake out in 2026. I am tired of the talk, and I am ready for the action. Thank you so much for your generosity. As always.
Yep. And we do have still a long row to hoe until the season starts. But just like I was mentioning last night, Zach, we have about 3 months till training camp starts. End of July, right? April, May, June. All right. My math's correct. That's how long it's been since Bo got hurt till now. I mean, it feels like 3 months, and yet, Zach, at the same time, it kind of doesn't. Like, time goes quickly. So training camp will be here before we all know it. And Lady D will be here every single day. You know that. Appreciate you, my friend. We also have Phil jumping in again to say, personally, I like Claire, the Ohio State tight end, over Stowers, but most mocks are picking Stowers. Your thoughts? Well, just because you got the freak factor, with Stowers. So just like all things, that kind of bedazzles, right, a lot of people, and for good reason. He is a freak. He could very well, Zach, end up having a huge career in the NFL. Claire, although, it's a far cry from being a complete tight end. He's a few more steps in that direction toward being a complete tight end than Stowers, but I like them both. I would rather, maybe go for Claire and see if he's there in round 4. He won't be there, but I just don't like Claire, Zach, at 62. I guess that's the thing. I like Claire. I just don't like him where the Broncos would have to take him to probably guarantee they get him. So it's kind of a rock and a hard place with him.
Yeah, you pretty much nailed every point I was going to make. They're different flavors of ice cream. Do you want the high upside, asymmetric talent in Stowers? Then go for him, the pass catching upside. Or do you want a more complete, all around, maybe more boring, higher floor player? That would be Max Claire. What you said there, though, Chad, I agree with. I would be comfortable drafting Stowers at 62. I would not be comfortable drafting Claire at 62. That's an important distinction.
That's true. That's true. And I think I could probably even get there with you, even though I would still have that caveat. Who else was there? Who are we passing on?
Right. Yeah.
But it's probably not going to be either of those guys, for what it's worth, Broncos country. And yeah, Rock, love it. Love it. And Zachary's still doing, by the way, Smouse in the house. He's still doing his design work, ZW Designs. Check it out. If you guys, the OGs, will remember that t-shirt he made for MHH. What was that, Zach? 2020 that he made that for us? That design. So follow him on Facebook, ZW Designs. And if you got anything in the works, go with Zachary. He does fine work. Okay. I want to come up and see what we can find here from some of the members. Shout out to Greg Smith. What's up, brother? Good to see you. Where did I see me bows? Where did I see my guy Mblex? I passed him, but Mblex is in the house. I'll find him here. This is true. Absolutely, Shannon. Yes, she says 100%. Tom Nalen and Rod Smith deserve to be in the Hall of Fame. They do. And it's a freaking travesty that they're not. Like, you go back and look at what Nalen did, Zach, from just an accolades perspective, individual accolades, team collective success while he was with the team, and then overall impact and duration of his career. There wasn't a better center in the NFL from the time he was in the NFL, which was what, 94, 95-ish through 2006 or 7. Like, that dude had some serious staying power. So I'm right there alongside everybody that says nailing for the Hall. Let's go.
And you were right. If he had a D on his helmet or a Packers logo or another legacy team, he would have already been in. But I'm just encouraged that a lot of Broncos legends have gotten in recent years, and hopefully the door will be cracked open for Nalen Smith and many others.
Storm Blast checking in to say, yeah, I won't lie. I'm not as stoked on the draft this year as I've been in the years past. I still will watch, though, because I need some Bronco football in my veins, even if it's only a smidge. LOL. Well, again, we've talked about this before too, Chandler, but when your team doesn't have a first-round pick, it does take some of the sand out of it, some of the momentum, some of the excitement, anticipation, like, except for the true hardcore, diehard, whack job draft people, like the Eric Trickles and the Nick Kendalls, and there's plenty of them out there. Like, even in this chat right now, there's folks like that. Our dear friend from Melbourne, for example, Glenn Ashley, he's one of those guys. But, Zach, it's understandable to kind of feel a little less excited about the draft when your team lacks a first and a third round pick.
And they don't really have any major glaring needs that we all think the Broncos are going to satisfy in round 2. They don't need a quarterback. That's a very headline-grabbing position. They don't need a left tackle starting. They don't need an edge rusher starting. They don't need a cornerback starting. Those are the premier positions in the NFL, and the Broncos have them satisfied. So I think there's a lot of I don't know about disinterest, maybe just a little apathy toward the draft.
Part of it, too, I think, Zach, has to do with the team is so good now that,
right,
when you're sucking, I almost used a phrase my dad uses that is funny and it cracks me up, but it's not appropriate for me to use it on this episode. When you're in last place or when you're in the basement, you're wandering the desert like the Broncos did for so many years. Man, you're living and dying on what comes next. How are we getting out of this thing? Like, where's our Moses? Who's leading us out of this desert? You know what I'm saying? So the draft and free agency, I mean, for years and years, Zach, for almost 10 years, January, this is unheard of for most NFL publications, what I'm about to say to you. January, February, March for MHH were 3 of our 4 biggest months of every year in terms of traffic, because our team was always so bad over that stretch. So fans were just like, give me anything I can find on how we get better. Search, clicking, reading everything. And that's just not the case this time around. Thank the football gods.
Yeah, we have Chase here saying Eric put it out there that Sanders wasn't picking things up mentally. Inside linebacker is a cerebral position, as we know, so it makes sense. Yeah, it really is hard to transition from the college level to the NFL, or even in the NFL when you get there, to bop back and forth from outside to inside. It's part of the reason why I don't like what they're doing with Jonah Ellis, but that's a different player in different circumstance. I don't know. I think the injury ultimately put Drew Sanders behind the 8 ball, and he just never emerged from the shadows of the players in front of him. And now he's just way behind. He's probably a little rusty. And I don't know that he's going to beat out the starters in front of him or the high prize convert in Jonah Ellis. I just don't see a role for Drew Sanders at outside linebacker.
We'll see. We'll see. But thank you, Chase. It's always good to see you, pal. Ronk says A.J. Brown is going to be traded to the New England Patriots post June 1st. What have you heard on that, Zach?
Yeah, that's this scuttle from Adam Schefter. The deal is not done yet, but it's probably going to be agreed to that A.J. Brown is going to join the Patriots after the first. And another player that they've acquired, Chad, in the quest to build up Drake May supporting cast. I can't hate on it, although I'll say I'm glad the Broncos got Jalen Waddle and not A.J. Brown.
Well, I mean, is he the tide that raises all ships? Your quarterback, Drake May, is he that guy that makes everyone around him better? Because I mean, at the same time, I was going to say, is it a wise allocation of resources relative to where the Patriots are? And I guess it's hard to argue that it's not, because it's not as if, Zach, they had a bad defense or have a bad defense. Right. They were very good defense last year, even though, Zach, they played a very easy schedule. Methinks there's perhaps some fool's gold element still to that team, that it's going to come, those chickens, so to speak, are going to come home to roost in 2026. Mark my words.
This thought just occurred to me, but with everything going on, I mean, this is not the first time we heard about A.J. Brown and the Patriots. This has been a long rumor trade. It just happens to be confirmed, Chad, after all this scandal with Mike Vrabel and Diana Rossini.
Yeah, no kidding. Let's get him off the scent, right? Let's get him off the trail. Anyway, thanks for bringing that up tonight, Ron. M. Bleck says, maybe we need Triple H at inside linebacker, Zach. He's the cerebral assassin after all. I do know that he's a wrestler guy, right? That's what I know. I don't know anything else about him. Is he the cerebral assassin?
That was his nickname when he was wrestling. Now he runs the WWE as being the husband to Stephanie McMahon. But he'll bring the sledgehammer at least test prep, and that'll help the Broncos inside linebacking court. Thank you for that. That's pretty fun.
Wait a minute. Vince McMahon doesn't run it anymore? Did something happen to him?
Yeah, the whole charges he was brought up on, the indictments, the very serious stuff. I won't say it on here, but
okay. All right. I'll look into it.
And then they sold it off to corporate, TKO, and that's that.
Forgive my ignorance. I'll have to look into that. Glenn Ashley says, when you are on the cusp of a Super Bowl and roster spots are at a premium, you don't take one-dimensional players. This is an interesting point. The current tight end room is full of them. We should double dip. Oscar Delp, the Georgia tight end, fits the bill. He'd be in the 30 to 50 range if he was healthy at the Senior Bowl. Then you take Nate Borkature, Texas A&M tight end, late, high-level blocker, has the receiving game that can be grown. Dude, I would co-sign on this all day long, Glenn. I really would. You know that, dude. You're the only other guy besides me that says whack job about Delp and Borkature. I would love this, but I don't think it's going to shake out that way. We'll see.
I would love it as well, but would Sean Payton love it? Is he going to love that idea? And ultimately, that's what matters most.
Very true. Very true. All right, guys, we're at 45 minutes. We're doing all right with time. But if you have any burning questions, topics, supers, get them in the chat. We'll get to them before we dip. Shiloh says, Priest, which position would you be disappointed to see the Broncos not draft this year? We all talk about how complete this roster is, but what would be a disappointing miss? I mean, Zach, you start. I could think of a couple, 2, 3.
That's what I was going to say. I can go like 10 different ways. I'm going to be consistent, and I've been railing about this for years. If you've listened to the MHH podcast, I want the Broncos to finally devote some high round capital to linebacker and not keep rolling with the same old washed veterans, the same mid players, injury prone players. Get someone young and exciting in the pipeline and devote resources to fixing that position. So I would be disappointed if they don't draft a linebacker. But like Chad said, this answer can go 10 different ways.
Yeah. I think that would be a perfectly appropriate one to, stand on the soapbox for. I got to say, I think they got to get a running back. It's not a great running back class, but I think one of those top 4 running backs, if you can get one, get one. Michaela jumping in again saying, Rossini, new scandal. Okay. She says she told both Allen and Jackson that she voted for them for MVP and she voted for neither. LOL. So she told Josh Allen and Lamar Jackson that they had her vote for MVP and yet she voted for neither. I don't know where that's coming from. I believe you, Michaela. You're as plugged in and aware and paying attention as anybody out there, but I hadn't heard that myself, Zach. But then again, I haven't been on Twitter much today.
Yeah, I've been a little plugged out too, but unplugged. But that's the MVP that I believe Josh Allen stole from Lamar Jackson. So it's neither here nor there, but it's just seemed to getting worse for Diana Rossini. It's why she quit from The Athletic. And that's why I think there's some legs to that theory. They're first announcing the A.J. Brown trade now. Coincidental timing. Too coincidental.
Yeah, makes you wonder how it's all going to shake out for her in the final analysis. Like, is she done? Will she be able to catch on somewhere? Will the dust settle? I mean, she is a talent. She is talented at what she does. She's very good at her job. And I don't mean that facetiously. Like, I really don't. She's very good at what she does. So, we all make mistakes, and hopefully she lands on her feet. But thank you for bringing that to our attention, Michaela. Very interesting. All right, Zach. We're not out of here quite yet, but what we're going to do is go through a couple messages, and while Zach's going through those, I'm going to earmark a few more topics before we dip, so don't go anywhere.
Maybe she voted for May if she likes Vrabel enough. That's pretty funny, Shiloh. There was another tremendous installment of the MHH podcast. If you haven't done so yet, please follow us on X at the MHH pod. You can follow the main account on X at Mile High Huddle, Chad at Chad and Jensen, myself at Kelberman NFL, and Scott, our producer, at Scout Kennedy. If you guys want some merch like we're rocking each and every single podcast, check out MHHmerch.com and get you some. If you haven't done so, please drop us a like at Facebook.com/Mile High Huddle Pod. You can find us on Instagram at Mile_High_Huddle. If you haven't done so, join the MHH Discord server. The link is in the description below. If you're listening on Spotify or Apple Podcasts, make sure you're leaving your football priest a 5-star review for a chance to win some merch each and every single month. But if anything, y'all, please, very important, as always, that you subscribe, you like, you share this video and every video you see on the MHH channel. It really helps us grow and reach more Broncos fans, just like you.
All right. Okay, Michaela, I see your text. I'll check it out after the stream. Thank you. Keith says, I saw Von Miller's going to the Raiders. Brother, that's so real quick, let's just kibosh it. April Fool's joke. So 19 days old. And then he even posted on social media, it ain't real, man. April Fool's, but you never know. But I think we kind of know. That was kind of what he said about the subject. So anyway, it's just, memes and stuff continue floating around, Zach, the internet. So just beware, Keith, what you see, especially on Facebook with memes, unless it's a source that you trust, like MHH.
That's right. And not to start a whole new debate, but I don't even want Von Miller back on the Broncos as a player. He wants to come back and retire, one-day contract, fine. But I see some comments saying bring him back. I say nay.
David Schlosser on Facebook. Good to see you, pal. Thanks for being with us and reminding everybody to smash the like button. Very cool, buddy. Thank you for that. Adios, Storm Bless. We'll see you in the next stream. Guys, before we dip out of here, Mile High salute, a special shout out to all the great Super Chat Superstar supporters and dear members helping us keep the lights on tonight. In order of them, we got the Papa Bear. We got Michaela with multiple supers and bringing things to our attention. We got Shannon Mills off the top rope. We got Chris Bell celebrating 7 months as a member and also sending a super. Gene William, brother. We got Elias. We got Tucson Phil. We got Ronnie Ray. Great to see you, pal. We got the Lady D. We got Smouse in the house celebrating 6 months of being a member. And I think that covers it. So, guys, love you, appreciate you. Remember, tomorrow night, Tuesday, is going to be the MHH War Room Roundtable mock draft that everyone looks forward to each and every year. So that'll be tomorrow night for the Building the Broncos slot, so to speak. And then Zach and I, as a tandem, will be back Wednesday night, the final podcast before the draft. And we'll go from there. So love you guys. Have a great week. See you soon.
Have a great rest of your Monday. We will see you, Chad and I, on Wednesday. Take care. And as always, go Broncos.